Hello, my name is Jim Putnam. We're going to jump right into these amazing garden transformations. Be sure to stick around to the end. Each of these is unique and from different areas of the country. We're going to jump right in here again to David and Melissa, who are in Grand Rapids, Michigan, Zone 5B. This is a pretty typical foundation that we would see with some, original plantings here that they transformed pretty quickly into this. You can see also the house was painted, new shutters were put in and painted as well. So again, I'm working on the same thing here on this project in Raleigh, where the outbuildings and the house and sidewalks and so many other things can be part of your garden project. And so they made the house part of it, and the plantings here look great. Definitely a reshaping of the bed and extension of the bed off the left-hand side of the house as well. And then here's a close-up. I like the use of the wagon being part of the garden, and then the bird bath, and the mushrooms there. All of these are interesting components. Here's the frog. So it's about garden art and changing the house, and obviously this is going to be a great pollinator space as well. Which is a big part of my channel, and I've really enjoyed seeing that be part of your guys' beautiful garden transformation. So thank you guys very much for sending these in from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Popping in here real quick just to say thank you to everyone who has sent in all these amazing before and after photos. It's been absolutely incredible. I probably at this point have 250 plus emails. This is the 5th video, and I've hardly put a dent in your amazing photos. You will see yours at some point if you sent them to me. It's just a lot of emails, and I'm enjoying going through them, really enjoying seeing your incredible photos. So keep them coming. This is the email address here, horttube@gmail.com. Thank you for watching the video. Be sure to stick around to the end. All 10 of these are very different and interesting garden transformations. This is Jay down in South Georgia, Zone 8B. He bought this house new in 2015. The front garden, as he said, was the builder minimum, which I've always called 7 shrubs and a cloud of dust. And then obviously turf all the way out to the sidewalk. And then the back garden is wall-to-wall grass as well. We'll see the transition here in the front and the back garden as we go. You can see initially added this bed out by the street and started creating an area where he built some height. You can't, I've talked about in these videos, those windows are so low to the ground, it's difficult to get any height, right up against the building. So you got to bring beds out into the garden to find a place to put that height. Here's some, plantings. He put in that steel edging right along the curb, and then has some low growing evergreen shrubs out here. Ground covers as well. It just looks like a completely different space. Obviously changed out a few of the plants up there on the foundation as well. This back garden was just, again, wall-to-wall grass. There's one tree. There's one tree out there. You can see, again, this is, if nothing else, just getting the plants off of, getting a bed around that fence just makes this a much easier area to mow and maintain, and then gives you a backdrop that softens that fence. The fence is such a, angular, big structure. Having it softened like this looks terrific. And then here's the puppy running before, and then you can see how much that tree has grown in the amount of time they've been in this house and how much this garden has actually changed. Here's a little front garden space that he redid as well. Looks terrific. So thank you so much, Jay, for sending these in, and thank you for following along with the channel all these years. This is another Zone 5 up in northern Illinois. This is Maurice. They've got a really beautiful Queen Anne Victorian home, again up in northern Illinois. And you can see it's all turf back here in the back garden, and this, the garage and building in the back, and another view of it right there. And starts on this project and converts the entire lawn to really beautiful bed spaces. And look at this. Look at the walk coming in, the deck. Look up there. Looks like it's part of the garden art as well. You can see that area has been planted around the garage area, and there's a close-up view of it at that point. Again, adding garden art out here as he went as well. And then, interesting beds. And I say this a lot of times, the walls, the retaining walls don't have to be a border between turf and beds. They can be in the beds so that and I think a lot of times it looks better if you have a bed, the retaining wall runs through the bed rather than it being the bed edge. It's also easier to maintain typically because you end up, if you have put these kind of hard surfaces up against turf, you're going to have to weed eat along it. Great pollinator garden, lots of planted spaces, all kinds of interesting beds and pathways through here. And again, more garden art. And here's a view back up toward the house. Really incredibly beautiful space. Thank you so much, Maurice, for sending these in from Northern Illinois. What an amazing transformation, but from what was just a grassy space to these beautiful paths and a great pollinator garden. So this is Joe from Asheboro, North Carolina. I'm guessing this would be Zone 7A. Asheboro is where the North Carolina Zoo is. This is a project that was installed during COVID. He calls it my pandemic project. And there's a koi pond and other things that you can see. They're starting out with a blank slate here behind the deck. Another view from another angle from the deck. And then look at this transition very quickly, along the bottom of this space. Just here's the view from the deck where we were looking at, that angle back up toward the deck in the first photo. It's a panoramic view of it. You can see the koi pond in the middle of it. That's kind of the center of this project. Great path that comes off the steps on the deck and heads you down to this incredible garden space that's been created in this back garden. Here's a nighttime view with the lights. A couple of projects in this video with lights in them. Probably something I need to add out here at some point, if nothing else, just to entertain in the evening time. But it looks absolutely fantastic. Here's another view of it, a little closer in. Man, thank you so much, Joe, for sending this in. What one heck of a project that you put in. And here's one more panoramic view of it. Seating area, koi pond, just really beautiful. Thank you so much. For those of you who don't know, I offer 50-minute consultations that you can sign up for on my website. And it allows you to pick the date and time that's convenient for you. Again, they're 50 minutes. You send in some photos to me, write a description of what your project is about, and I can go through and help. Sometimes it's somebody that just needs help getting started on a project, just getting moving. What are the first steps? Sometimes it's somebody that wants to walk around and show me a lot of the problems that they're having in their garden, or talk about their soil or a soil test they got. Doesn't really matter what it is, generally speaking. I'm hoping I'm a little bit helpful during these consultations. So if you're interested, go over to my website, HortTube.com. These photos are from Vicky. I'm assuming it's somewhere in the south, just based on the plants that I see being used here, but it didn't tell me where her garden is. But you can see what she started with here. It's just a bordered space, maybe some topsoil added to it, and then or some compost. Again, another view but that's actually before. So this photo actually should have come before that little retaining wall was put around it, and then you can see it planted here. Just what an incredible transformation that is. And again, everybody is including, garden art and interesting pieces. A lot of chartreuse in these, things in these photos. I think I do have a pretty big influence on people using chartreuse plants in their gardens. Probably overdo it here, but here's a slightly closer view of this space. As this thing fills in, it's going to look really fantastic. And here's a nighttime view again, using some night lighting to create some interest in this beautiful garden space. So thank you very much, Vicki, for sending these in. This is Ryan up in Long Island, New York, Zone 7A. That's an interesting little part of Long Island there that's actually Zone 7 because the water temperature stays pretty warm. One thing I will say, though, is when I see photos from this area and when I drive through this area, up in the Northeast, where these zones can be, these zones are only based on your average nighttime temperature. So he's in 7A, Long Island. 7A, North Carolina, we probably have an extra 30 minutes every day during the winter time. The days are longer, and it does have an impact. And so when I see gardens up here, I tend to see a lot less leafy evergreens than I see in 7A down here. Just an observation to point out that even though the zone is 7A, some of those leafy evergreens don't do quite as well up there because the days are much shorter. That means those temperatures are over a longer period of time, those cold temperatures. But you can see this blank slate he started with, and then this incredible transformation. Love this garden space. Just leads you around. Those dappled willows along the road back there. He's planted some other screening things that he's waiting to catch up. There's some laurels and some hollies, the evergreen shrubs you can grow up there. And then here's an area, in a driveway entrance, has 3 trees. You're maintaining this grass, and you're kind of questioning, what am I maintaining this grass for? It serves no purpose. I can't chip golf balls on it. I can't putt on it. I can't, throw frisbee on it. So what's the actual point of it? And he turns it into this pollinator garden entrance, and creates a lot of interest in a space that was just some spot to go maintain beforehand. And then same thing on the other side of the driveway entrance. Go from that to this. The Japanese maple was already there, and then came in here and added all of these other interesting pieces, and took a piece of turf, honestly, that wasn't being used for anything, and turned it into a beautiful garden space. So thank you very much, Ryan, for sending these photos in. This couple photos was sent from Judith. She's in Zone 7B up in Wake Forest, North Carolina, which is maybe a 20-minute drive for me from where I'm at in near downtown Raleigh. And we're going to have to use our imagination on this one a bit. This is a deck that's going in. You can see the post holes have been dug for the 4x4s, and they're just putting a deck on this side of the building, and then it turns this into a really nice seating area on this deck with beautiful potted plants, and what was just a grassy slope off the side of this building, became a little oasis, a little hiding spot to sit and drink coffee and enjoy this space. And all these tropical plants have been added into it as well. So thank you so much, Judith, for sending this in. What an amazing transformation. These photos were sent in from CL in Zone 5, Missouri. And you can see you've got the slope coming down from the front of the house. That's a Bradford pear over there on the left-hand side, and they get tons of storm damage. There it is with a little bit of storm damage on it. They break apart when they get to a certain age and size. Of course, they've also become invasive. Another problem within and of itself. But they are very short-lived, very fast-growing trees with very stinky flowers. Although some people actually seem to like the smell of the flowers. And you can see, let's look at how this transpires. He's got all this grass on that slope in the front garden, and you can see it's kind of brown. Was probably very hard to maintain any kind of turf looking good on that kind of slope without lots of water. And so he just took that part out and put in ground covers, and there's some junipers there and other things, and created this really nice garden space out of that. Here's a close-up view, and this is after, see that now the tree is gone. So the tree is still there in the photo before this, and then the tree is officially gone, and this really looks fantastic. I love these beds, removed out from the house some, especially when you have those low windows, again, like that. I love the rocks that are out here, just create some interest in the bed as well. But thank you so much for sending these in. I'm loving all these Zone 5 gardens because, you know, my channel tends to be mostly Zone 7, Zone 8 things. So it's nice to see what you guys can do in these colder areas as well. Thanks again. These photos are from Annika, and she's in Garner, North Carolina, which is just down the road from me here, a little south where we had Wake Forest earlier, which is a little north. Garner's definitely Zone 7B, almost 8A for sure. Got this blank slate, as so many people do, next to the driveway and inside of that sidewalk. This project started in 2019. She added a few of these shrubs, the loropetalum in the back, and a few other evergreens, planted some of, looks like some annuals in this space. As you can see, they were marigolds, and those are looking good that season. Again, the shrubs are still small, and so this is exactly what I do here in this garden. Is while we waited for the shrubs to grow, we used annuals and perennials and other filler things while we were waiting for it to come along. And here's a photo more recently, you know, with vinca and some perennial things. You can see that loropetalum up there in the top, how much bigger it is now. And this is, you know, more mature garden here in, you know, 2 years out since that 2020 photo with the marigolds. Thank you so much, Annika, for sending these photos in. Again, I love these transitions. I also love the things spilling out over that bed onto that sidewalk. Again, I talk about angles all the time. So many things are so angular. Don't worry if something is creeping out over the edge of a bed into a path or a sidewalk or something like that, because it looks more natural when things are like that anyway. I mean, you don't want to get them to the point where they're impeding your ability to walk down the sidewalk, but out over the edge a bit softens those straight lines. Next up, we have an incredible transformation down a hillside from this house. We'll get an angle back up the hill later in this set of photos. This is Robert in near Madison, North Carolina. You can see this set of steps going in to get you from the top heading down to the bottom. It's a mostly shady space, as we'll see as we go. I know there's a crepe myrtle up in there creating some shade and some other things. But here's the beginning, again, of these steps going down this hill, and you can see, you know, right at the bottom a few more steps, and a patio is going to be created down below that. But he just took a space that was really it would have been very, very difficult to use, and then you can see, you know, how they filled in the pathway between each of those steps going down. So we have 3 steps equally spaced apart, and then three or four quicker steps down at the bottom in that patio area. Then here it is starting to fill in around it with hydrangeas and other plantings. Great looking space, hostas, as we get a little further down. And then that's a crepe myrtle over there on the right. We can tell by that red bark on it. But look how much this is filled in from when it was just those few steps. You know, took kind of an unusable space and has turned it into this. And again, we'll get a view. This is from the very top at the driveway, and then there's the view back up from the bottom. You can see again what was a kind of a space that you kind of try to figure out from. This started out as a drainage issue. Okay, with you can, you know, probably water pouring off that driveway, water pouring out of these gutters, everything pouring down this hill, and turned a drainage issue into a piece of art with a patio seating area. And then that lawn wrapping around the back of it back there looks really great as well, and creates a lot of contrast between these beds. An incredible garden transformation. Thank you so much, Robert, for sending these in. Thank you guys again for sending in these incredible photographs. Every time I open up a set of them, I'm just absolutely amazed. So if you want to send in before and after photos, send them to this email address. And if you would, turn your phone sideways because YouTube is a widescreen format. And that's definitely helpful for people to see the detail in your beautiful gardens. Thanks for watching.